Here are the stories we're covering this week in the Category 5.tv newsroom. Several U.S. newspapers suffered major printing and delivery disruptions on Saturday following a cyber attack. India will ban e-commerce companies such as Amazon and Walmart-owned Flipkart from selling products from companies in which they have an equity interest. The first autonomous freight train network is fully operational, and Elon Musk claims to be on track for a 2026 Mars colony mission and reveals who will be on board the first trips. These stories are coming right up. Don't go anywhere.
This is the Category 5.tv newsroom, covering the week's top tech stories with a slight Linux bias.
Jeff Weston,
Yeah, man.
you're building a brand new, beautiful website.
What?
Aren't you?
No. Am I?
Oh, you're a terrible actor.
What?
This is where acting comes into play.
Oh, I didn't know we were acting.
You're supposed to act.
Okay, fair enough. All right.
Yeah, I'm building a really cool website. Are you building a really cool website? Just because Jeff is confused doesn't mean you have to be. Visit cat5.tv/dreamhost to sign up for unlimited web hosting for your website with unlimited email accounts, MySQL databases, the latest version of PHP, WordPress, and more, and even a free domain name registration. It's less than $6 per month, so sign up today. cat5.tv/dreamhost. Just quickly before we get into it, I heard that breath. Just want to let you all know that some of the news stories were submitted this week by Roy W. Nash. We hear that he has been doing well, and it's so great to receive some emails from him this week, and we look forward to updates there. But just thought I'd give you a quick update. So thank you, Roy, and here's to speedy health and a wonderful 2019.
I'm Sasha Rickman, and here are the top stories we're following this week. Several U.S. newspapers suffered major printing and delivery disruptions on Saturday following a cyber attack. The attack led to delayed distribution of the Los Angeles Times, Chicago Tribune, Baltimore Sun, and other titles belonging to Tribune Publishing. The company said it first detected the malware on Friday, which hit papers sharing the same printing plant. The LA Times said the attack is believed to have come from outside the U.S. An anonymous source with knowledge of the attack told the LA Times, "We believe the intention of the attack was to disable the infrastructure, more specifically servers, as opposed to looking to steal information." West Coast editions of the Wall Street Journal and New York Times, which share the same production platform in Los Angeles, were also affected. The virus hurt back-office systems used to publish and produce the newspapers. Another publication, the Fort Lauderdale Sun-Centennial, was also crippled this weekend by a computer virus that shut down production and hampered phone lines, according to a story on its website. A Department of Homeland Security official said in a statement, "We are aware of reports of a potential cyber incident affecting several news outlets and are working with our government and industry partners to better understand the situation." Investigators at the Federal Bureau of Investigations were not immediately available for comment.
Okay.
So that's scary because...
And so begins the year.
Yeah. If you can get in to the news.
I'm eager to hear more about how the attack occurred. But, yeah, I mean, that can... What do you say to that? That we have such a digital connected... I think about newspapers and think about how old school the technology of a newspaper is, and yet they are reliant now as much as we are on the technology that's internet connected and everything else. So,
well, and so many news stations, whether it be TV, paper, whatever, they have remote correspondence that in a lot of cases probably VPN to a network.
Yep.
And so if their network is regularly getting data traffic coming in from outside the network, I mean, you've got a lot of holes that you need to have protected. And if they are connected stations, say through a network, you know, you hit one, you could potentially hit them all. I mean, so often they share content, and it's like, where is that vulnerability? Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, I just kind of go, well, it's another story. Moving on, gonna have my coffee. Like,
yeah, a little bit. But it kind of speaks to the infrastructure issues that companies have too. Like these are big companies, but these are old companies.
Yes.
So, you know, has the infrastructure progressed along with the technology? Has the security measures that are in place progressed along with that technology? So we have to look at, you know, as you know, maybe the businesses that we work at grow and evolve into today. You know, are the technologies that are in place to protect us against cyber attack, are they up to snuff?
I still feel like a lot of times it's somebody who's just not security conscious.
It could be one user on the network that clicked on a file in an email.
Right.
Who knows, right?
I think of those cities that we've heard of in the past that we've covered on the news where suddenly all of their city computers get the, oh, pay the Bitcoin because we've ransomwared your computer. It's like, all it took was one person, you know, who just wasn't careful.
Yeah.
It's true.
You know,
it's scary because you don't know what causes something like that. And like you said, in a situation where people are just constantly putting information in, how do you know when it's malicious?
I'm just glad they didn't change the teleprompter and go all Ron Burgundy.
Haha. India will ban e-commerce companies such as Amazon and Walmart-owned Flipkart from selling products from which the companies have an equity interest. In a statement, the government also said that the companies will be prevented from entering into exclusive agreements with sellers. The new rules will be applicable from February 1st. The new regulations follow complaints from Indian retailers and traders who say the giant e-commerce companies are using their control over inventory from their affiliates and through exclusive sales agreements to create an unfair marketplace that allows them to sell some products at very low prices. The All India Online Vendors Association in October filed a petition with the antitrust body Competition Commission of India alleging that Amazon favors merchants that it partly owns. The lobby group filed a similar petition against Flipkart in May, alleging violations of competition rules through preferential treatment for select sellers. The new rules said that services provided to vendors on an e-commerce platform and by that entity's affiliates should be done so at an arm's length and in fair and non-discriminatory manner. New rules will appease small traders and farmers who fear that U.S. companies are making a backdoor entry into India's retail market and could squeeze out small corner shops that dominate Indian retailing. The Confederation of All India Traders, in a statement, said that if the order is implemented in full, then malpractices, predatory pricing policies, and deep discounting by e-commerce players will no longer occur. Amazon India said that it is currently evaluating the new rules, while Flipkart did not immediately respond to a request for comment.
I'm on the fence about this one.
You know what? So was I.
Yeah.
When I saw it, I was like, I love the idea of preventing like the big guy going to all the little guys. But at the same time, I think this has gone too far in its response. Like here in Canada, we've got grocery stores. You can go to their website, purchase your groceries for pickup at the store.
Right.
It's not
right.
You know, does that classify as e-commerce? And if you've got a grocery store that now sells their own brand, are they restricted from doing that in India? If the store was in India, like how far does this go? Because when I read the definition of what they're talking about, it's very wide open to just about anything.
Yeah.
And I mean, you look at a company like Coca-Cola, who's got a ton of subsidiary companies underneath, but they're all under the same corporate umbrella. It might be 4 or 5 times removed, but under this rule, they all apply.
But what's true about that is they have policies in place that you can't have a Pepsi machine next to it.
I know,
right?
Which is funny.
It's tough because, like, I have to look at this one in the perspective of, okay, this is the Indian government protecting the small marketplace.
Yeah.
Right.
But in the terminology, it comes across as more like such a controlling, like I think about if I walk into a grocery store and that grocery store has their brand, like I'm thinking President's Choice, right? So if I walk in and there's the President's Choice ketchup and there's the Heinz, well, they have the loss leaders up at the front, all the you know, like who's to say that they can't do that? They own the brands because that's their industry. Amazon has bought companies and invested companies and created companies in order to sell products at a better price.
Yeah.
Right.
I buy some Amazon Basics stuff quite often.
Yep.
And yeah,
It's
just the
tricky.
way it is. And it's so tough. Sears is out of business.
I know.
And it's like they were crushed, but Sears didn't keep up with the technology. And,
Right.
and so
Exactly.
in India, I can understand the marketplace is not able to keep up with the technology necessarily, right? There are probably larger companies, definitely are,
Yep.
that can, but the little guys would be done for
Yeah.
if Sears can be put out of business.
Sure, absolutely. This is such a double-edged sword situation,
Oh.
and
It is.
you're right. I think I'm on the fence. I don't know how. I think it's gone too far, but I like the notion of it.
It's really tough, and I think it just boils down to this is the time that we are in.
Yeah.
Because there's a transition that has been occurring for the past 3-4 years with Amazon becoming the biggest retailer in the world.
It is legit how I shop.
Absolutely.
That's it. Right? Going to a store, it's like a foreign concept to me now. I don't.
I do.
I
go to
I like
stores.
going to stores.
But a lot of, like, Christmas shopping is a perfect example this year and last year as well, where most of the stuff, other than stuff for stockings and things like that,
Yeah.
were bought online. And most of that through Amazon.
Right. I would say like 95% of the gifts I bought this year were from Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you? What are your thoughts on this? I think we're all three on the fence on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Supporting, I have absolute support for the little guys, and I understand that market mentality, and we need that. Maybe the government needs to take a different approach and subsidize the marketplace, subsidize the little guy, and give them incentives to and capabilities to flourish. If they can't match the prices, give them tax breaks.
I also wonder if part of this is country economics. Because you look at a country like India, and it's such a massive country, and not all areas are equal in their wealth distribution or their consumerism. So maybe there's an element of country-specific commerce scenarios that have driven this. And so we're looking at it from our perspective.
It's tough that way, yeah.
And not understanding the scenario. And so maybe it's just a matter of North American ignorance to the
Right.
true problem of it.
I do feel that way, and that's
Yeah.
why, like, I'm awkward in this whole thing because I don't really know
Yeah.
what's
We're not on
right.
the side of like the
Yeah.
farmers and
Yeah.
Are you watching our show from India and are
I'd love to
impacted
hear.
by this?
Yeah.
Share your thoughts. If you have family or loved ones in India, what are your thoughts on this particular governance?
Yeah.
We'd love to hear. I'd love your perspective on this.
The first autonomous freight train network is fully operational. On Friday, major mining corporation Rio Tinto announced that its auto haul autonomous train system in Western Australia had logged more than 1 million kilometers since July. Rio Tinto now calls its fully operational autonomous train system the biggest robot in the world. The train system serves 14 mines that deliver to 4 port terminals. 2 mines that are closest to a port terminal will retain human engineers because they are very short lines. The train system took 10 years to build and cost Rio Tinto $916 million US to implement. The trains are remotely monitored by a crew located 1,500 kilometers away in Perth. According to the mining company, the autonomous trains make sure the rails are clear ahead and monitor internal systems such as well, checking for faulty wheels or couplers and bringing the train to a complete stop if there's a problem. The autonomous train system will allow Rio Tinto to cut down on the number of stops that the 2.4 kilometer long iron ore hauling trains have to make to change drivers. Prior to the operation of the autonomous train system, the mining company shuttled train drivers 1.5 million kilometers per year due to shift changes. The average return distance of these trains is about 800 kilometers, with the average journey cycle, including loading and dumping, taking about 40 hours. Additionally, the trains will be able to run 6% faster by removing acceleration and braking variations caused by human drivers. Rio Tinto expects that its auto haul system will allow it to increase the region's iron ore production capacity by 20 million tons.
That is superb.
Wow.
That's a neat story.
Yeah, that's a big robot.
That is amazing.
I love that that's their comment. It's a big robot.
Again, this is going to be two-sided because this is going to mean loss of jobs.
Right.
Absolutely.
But it's going to be I feel like you're driving a train for it's a 40-hour trip. You have to be shuttled to and from because they have to do shift changes. I feel like those jobs themselves aren't the ideal job.
But
right?
it's not about it's about having a job.
Yeah.
But
I mean, like, you take that mindset, you got road construction, why can't they just put a little rotator on the bottom of a stop sign that flips every, minute, and it's connected to something on the other side? Then the sign turners have lost their jobs. Like, it's
right. But I'm thinking that this will allow for things like being the controller, like the remote controller. It's like the remote access operator.
Do you think that the operator's 1,500 kilometers away?
Right.
And presumably a great force of IT to thwart any attack on this system.
Right.
Because that would be my next fear with something like that.
I think you're going to lose one job, you're going to get another job, but it's a different type of job, different skill set, and the person who's out of work may not be able to get this new job for maybe programming the trains or something. But the concept of it is very neat. It takes some of that bulk, so to speak, out of the workload.
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, as a computer guy, your automated software that you've created, I think you remember you're talking about an AI for a while to help with some of your workload. You're talking
Which one, Jeff?
Well, but so some of that bulk of
his name's Jason. He's a real person.
Right. Okay. But there are
Jason.
advancements that you can make that can help, but it's just like at what cost to the human impact?
Right.
So
that's fair.
I get both sides, but I think it's a neat story. I just like the fact that they've automated trains.
I like that they just made it faster because humans brake and accelerate oddly.
That's interesting too, isn't it? Yeah.
What I want to know though is, are there sensors on it for track runners?
Well, presumably, it's monitoring things around it. It's going to have LiDAR.
Yeah.
Got to fit that in once per show. And so it's going to know that there's things moving. And, if there are kangaroos hopping in front of the train, they're going to have to deal with that.
Right. I just hope that they've addressed that.
Sure.
Because there's nothing more sad than to hear that there was a track runner that led to an incident.
Of course.
Right.
Yeah.
Although I will say, if that were to be the case, there isn't a human witnessing it now. Just a side note.
I don't think that's the point.
Nice attempt on putting a lighter spin on it, Sasha, but you just made it worse.
Yeah.
Thank you
sorry.
very much. Oh, dear.
Elon Musk claims to be on track for a 2026 Mars colony mission and reveals who will be on board for the first trips. Messaging the billionaire on Twitter, Musk fan asked, "How soon will the first group go to colonize Mars?" And Musk replied, 7 to 10 years. That's in line with previous estimations from Musk, who has said he hopes to launch missions between 2024 and 2030. Musk also recently admitted that there was a 70% chance he himself would move to Mars. The Tesla boss also replied to another Twitter user who said, "I only hope the first wave of explorers will be poets and not real estate developers." Musk's response was that the initial Mars colonization flights would be populated with creatives. Engineers, artists, and creators of all kind. There is so much to build, he said. It's not the first time Musk has suggested that he'll send creative types to space. Back in 2018, Musk revealed that Japanese billionaire art collector Yusaku Maezawa would be the first passenger on board his SpaceX trip to the moon. The 43-year-old entrepreneur didn't reveal how much he'd pay for the trip, but Musk said he has made a significant deposit on the price, which is a significant price. Yusaku told a Thrilled conference in California, "I thought long and hard how valuable it would be to become the first private passenger to go to the moon. I thought about how this could contribute to world peace. This is my lifelong dream." That mission to the moon doesn't have a launch date yet, but is expected to take place within the next few years. Reaching the moon is a far easier feat than Musk's planned Mars missions. The billionaire recently admitted early travelers have a good chance of dying on the way. SpaceX is currently working on a vessel named Starship. It's believed that Starship will be able to make the voyage to Mars with humans on board within the next 7 years. SpaceX hopes to eventually create spacefaring civilization, which would include Martian colonies populated by humans. Tickets for the trip would cost around a couple $100,000, according to Musk. Musk, however, reckons that living on Mars won't be cheery and certainly not a luxury retreat. Your probability of dying on Mars is much higher than on Earth, the billionaire explained. He also said that early Mars colonists would be working nonstop to build the base, and this would leave not much time for leisure. And even after doing all this, it's a very harsh environment, he said. And even if you survive the trip to Mars, it's entirely possible that you'll never be able to return to Earth. There's a good chance you die there, Musk warned. He said, you can come back, but we're not sure. Now, that does sound like an escape hatch for rich people. So.
I love this story. On so many levels of stupidity.
What?
I do appreciate his honesty.
Yes.
Well, it's true.
Yes.
It's a lot of money.
I can't believe that it's actually going to happen.
Like
and that soon.
You can't believe, like you don't believe, or you can't believe, like, oh my.
Partially. I mean, you look at his track record, and you know he's a visionary, obviously, but he has the capabilities. He projects. You know, I like to overpromise, underpromise, and overperform.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He tends to overpromise and underperform.
Right.
So when he, announces the new Tesla, and then it takes several years before it's, beyond the date, I just don't know that it's going to happen. But so there's that doubt because of his track record, but at the same time, I know that if anyone can do it, it is Elon Musk.
He did put a Tesla in space.
That's true. Yeah. He did.
What I find interesting about this story, though, is the fact that we don't know the long-term impacts of space residency.
Sure.
I mean, we've had people on the International Space Station for extended periods of time. I mean, look at the twins. One was an astronaut, one was not. The brother came back from space, and genetically he has changed from his brother. Mm-hmm. So we don't know what this is going to mean if it's like, hey, we're going to send you to Mars. You're going to get there in a year, and you may never come back. What's 5 years impact from now? I think before we start jumping at Mars, put something on the moon where if things go bad, you're only 3 days away. As opposed to a year. It
sounds like that's what he's doing, but at the same time, he's being really a downer to his own program by being realistic and honest to say, you can pay to go to Mars. I'll fly you there. You're probably going to die.
Well,
but that has nothing to do with his product. That's the environment of space. I mean, that'd be like, hey, we can get you a wetsuit that allows you to swim with great white sharks, but there's a risk you could get eaten. That's nothing to do with the suit.
This is progress. That is stupidity.
There is a fair chance if you decide to go to Mars, you're not coming back to Earth. You know it. Like, you know it.
You've lived your life.
Deep in your soul, you're not coming back to Earth. Even if they say that there's a chance, there is no chance.
There is one.
You might get to Mars and live on Mars for a blip, but...
There is one benefit to going to Mars.
What is that?
You're not going to have to shovel the snow.
Yeah, you might.
I don't think so.
I don't know. Just quickly, according to CoinGecko, here's how the crypto market looked as of 1800 hours Eastern Time on Wednesday, January the 2nd, 2019. Bitcoin is up, gaining $165.62 US, and is presently at $3,855.06. Litecoin similarly up, and going up by $3.83 US, hitting $32.76. Ethereum, likewise, up $53.34 at $153.30. Remember, 3 weeks ago it was at only $99.96. Monero also gaining, a slighter gain at $51.49 as this week's where it hit. Stellite, looking at the little guys, is also on its way up at $2, pardon me, I keep doing that, 2.31 ten-thousandths of a cent. Wouldn't it be neat if Stellite was $2?
Yeah,
I would be rich. Turtle coin, an even littler gay, 1.24 ten-thousandths of a cent, also gaining 0.78 ten-thousandths of a cent. Remember that cryptocurrency is always changing. The market is always open and it's always volatile. So be careful and be mindful of that fact.
Big thanks to Roy W. Nash and our community of viewers for submitting stories to us this week. Thanks for watching the Category 5.tv newsroom. Don't forget to like and subscribe for all your tech news with a slight Linux bias. And for more free content, be sure to check out our website. From the Category 5.tv newsroom, I'm Sasha Rickman.
And I'm Robbie Ferguson.
And I'm Jeff Weston.